Good afternoon again, wonderful people. Welcome back to the AROC racing at Imola. I hope you're all having a very good evening. We are just waiting for the server to reset and we'll join the race. Slightly different format to normal. This is the rescheduled race from last Thursday, as there were technical issues with the server towards the end of the race, so the organisers found it best to rerun the race. The only other thing that's been brought forward is the qualifying results from last Thursday. So that list goes as Colin Caniff in first place on pole position with a 1:41.887 time, which I believe was a sort of a late ditch effort to claim pole, and he is running quite a heavy ballast compared to some of the others, which I think was quite decisive. And I think last week he had an issue getting off the line with that, but we'll see if he can improve with the second chance being given today. So Colin Caniff in first place, Matt Daly in second place on the grid, Alex Smith in third, John Billingsley in fourth, Greg Young in fifth, Andrew Whitehead in sixth, Andrew Cracker in seventh place on the grid, James Rose in eighth, Paul Plant in ninth, Tim Perry in 10th, Rob Whitney in 11th, Alan Matthews in 12th, Stephen Williams in 13th, Guy Swarbrick in 14th, and Stephen Knight in 15th on the grid for qualifying. If we have any new participants this week, then they will be placed at the back of the grid. So hopefully we'll see some people joining in, make it a bit more interesting. And yes, where's the list gone again? Quite interesting how the ballast has played out at the moment. Colin Caniff with over 100 kilograms of ballast on the car, and then Matt Daly third, fourth and fifth place on the grid. Car's quite a lot lighter, which perhaps assisted in then getting the better start over Colin. And I think from last week, Colin actually dropped down the order quite quickly from a poor start, I believe. And then I believe it was Matt Daly and Alex Smith that sort of ran away ahead with the first two positions. So the majority of the race before, unfortunately, the server intervened with that one and caused it to be rescheduled. So approximately 5 minutes to go until the start of the race just today. It's an hour endurance race at the Imola circuit in the S2 Competizione, with approximately 500 horsepower. 517 horsepower and 520 newton meters of torque, which is quite a lot in something very small, very snappy, and very light. Imola itself having 20 corners. And there's quite a lot of undulation, so a fair few overtakes happening on the hills, people getting bad runs out of the Tosa hairpin, and then coming down again you've got the Minarelli corner, which is downhill braking zone, you know, turning the car right, trying to get it around the corner. If you're going for a maneuver, it can get quite tricky down there as well. So that gave us quite a lot of entertainment last week. I'm sure we're hoping for the same again this week. So we shall get the server reset. I'm reliably informed that hopefully we should be error free this week, which would be fantastic to see. And then we shall see how this affects, try and see how this affects championship after that. Let's find yes, Rob. There we are. From experience from one of the drivers themselves, it's an animal. I wouldn't expect anything less from a Italian supercar, to be honest with you. As we're just waiting for the server to restart and we can join the others and get the racing underway. Indeed it is. I hope so, Alex. I think you're quite high up the order before the cutout from the server, I believe. Wait, memory serves me correctly. Right, it looks like we are just about in business. .9 kilometer track in Italy, if you didn't know. Italian cars in Italy, who'd have thought it? Right, I'm just going to put the string onto. It's doing things. Bear with me one moment. we shall ever fight on. And we have managed to actually get it to work. So we are now in preparing for the hour race at Imola. With 1 minute until the start of the race. Hopefully everything should have been ported. Everything's working. So apologies for the slight delay for the beginning of the race. Technical issues hindered that, but we have overcome. And now should be looking forward to quite an exciting race from the guys of the AROCs. You can hear them raring to go. They've had half an hour to wait. They've all had their cooldown times. Now they're going to have to hype themselves back up again for the beginning of the race. As we see the 6 red lights on the screen, they go out and away they go. Colin Caniff getting a much better start this week at the front of the pack. Matt Daly being hounded from the front row. They're 4 wide coming into the first couple of corners. Alex Smith and Matt Daly battling it out, but Alex has had to concede, and Matt Daly, there's people off in the background already. Andrew Cracker is off. Paul Plant, I believe that is at the back now, just rejoined. No, Stephen Williamson, beg your pardon, just rejoining after contact sent him off the track. But we are away racing. It is Guy Fawkes night. There are fireworks in the sky, and there are fireworks on track as we see Greg Young and Andrew Whitehead battling it out through the first lap of the race. And they're currently being hounded by James Rhodes, hoping to get in on the action on that battle. There looks like there's a change at the back as Simon Williamson is trying to get around Stephen Knight, who unfortunately has a bit of a half spin and will have to rejoin at the back of the pack, I'm afraid. As they're nearing the Rivada set of corners, Colin Caniff is in first place from pole position, having got a better start, a very good start at the beginning of the race. There's Andrew Whitehead hounding John Billingsley at the back after getting past Greg Young by looks of it, whether that was one of them ran wide. But as we cross the start finish straight for the first lap, Colin Caniff is in first place. Matt Daly is getting hounded by Alex Smith, who manages to get the pass done on the braking zone into the first chicane. There's also a change in the middle as James Rose gets past Greg Young, who will now have Paul Plant on Greg's tail. There's another change in the middle as Andrew Cracker gets past Tim Perry. But Tim hoping to try and come back in the hairpin, but not able to do it. There's you have the 3 cars battling for 7th place of Alan Matthews, Paul Plant, Greg Young. Looks like Alan's going to try and get it done under braking. The ducks back inside, loses a bit of time to the car in front. But a very quick manoeuvre done on the inside on the exit of the corner, as it looks like Greg Young's who was it? As Paul Plant slowed dramatically, allowing Alan Matthews to get past. At the front of the pack, Colin Caniff is managing to get up the road away from Alex Smith in second place. The gap now 1.1 of a second. Matt Daly still hanging in there, trying to get second place back. Andrew Whitehead now a very good performance, now up into 4th place, trying to close in on the first few positions, but John Billingsley on the back of that car, flashing his lights, trying to get and trying to distract Andrew Whitehead and get an error. There's people have going across the gravel as Alan Matthews unfortunately comes across and drops down the order. Also got more people going across the gravel there. I'm not sure who that was, but the front of the pack remains unchanged. There is a change in the middle as Paul Plant gets in front of Alan Matthews, who is cutting the course after it looks like running wide at the first chicane. After lap 2 of the hour endurance race, Colin Caniff is still maintaining that 1 second gap over Alex Smith. Matt Daly starting to drop behind a little bit in third place there. Let's just have a quick look. So Matt Daly running a fair amount of balance, but less than Colin Caniff. So should possibly be able to close the gap. But unfortunately it's looking like he's dropping behind. James Rose in 4th place. Andrew Whitehead now back into 7th, and unfortunately we missed that. Whatever happened there, possibly in the second chicane I think it might have been, but I'm not too sure. We heard someone skating across the gravel, but from 4th back into 7th, trying to fight his way back up, and might actually be losing to Andrew Kraken, is now down into 8th. So a bit of a shame what's happened to his race so far, but with only 5 minutes in, there's still a lot to play for still. The pit stops, again as it did last week, will still play an important part in the results. Looks like Paul Plant getting back at Alan Matthews, now side by side as they head up the hill. Paul Plant looking for any space to get past the green and white car in front, but not able to do it, and just maintaining that gap for the moment. 3 laps into the race, and unfortunately they're already coming up to Rob Whitney, who's looks like he's had a bit of an issue and potentially I think had to make a bit of a pit stop perhaps, and is now almost a lap down already. We'll have to hopefully stay out of the way of the battling pack as we see Andrew Whitehead get past Andrew Cracker back up into 7th place. So Colin Caniff not yet round Rob Whitney. Rob Whitney still showing very good pace, so it's not the pace that's the issue, but unfortunately whatever happened to him during the beginning part of the race has meant that he's now 2 laps down, unfortunately. Alex Smith now will have to try and get round Rob, so this could be this could play a very big part in the gap between the two. So Alex hoping to get past Rob very quickly and chase down Colin. But this will be giving Colin the chance to get away. Well done, Rob, for manoeuvring out the way of Alex there. And Alex is able to get up the inside and try and close the gap to Colin that was up to, I think, about 3 seconds at one point. Now let's see. 4 laps into the race, Colin Caniff is still in first place from pole position. Alex Smith in second, Matt Daly in third now. fair way down the order, now being hounded even more. Matt Daly hounded even more by James Rose, who again, the both of them will be coming up to the lapped car fairly quickly. John Billingsley in 5th, trying to chase down the guys ahead of him. Greg Young in 6th, as they all start to settle into the race slightly now. Andrew Cracker in 8th, Tim Perry in 9th, Alan Matthews in 10th, Paul Plant in 11th, Guy Swarbrick in 12th, Stephen Williams in 11th, Steve Knight in 13th, sorry, Stephen Williams in 13th, Stephen Knight in 14th, and Rob Whitney in 15th place, but it still has very, very fast pace as he's still ahead of Matt Daly on the circuit. So we'll be trying his absolute best to unlap himself. So, currently, Colin Caniff in the 41 car running away up the road with almost a 4-second gap over Alex. So, running very quick times. It'd be interesting to know when he plans on making the necessary pit stops. We're just waiting for the pit window sign to appear, and they'll have approximately half an hour, I think, to make one mandatory stop, but they can make as many stops as they need to get round. The gap now 5 seconds over Alex, as Colin does his best to create the biggest buffer he can over Alex Smith, as Matt Daly again is trying to close down on Rob Whitney, but still has James Rose on his tail. That could be hoping that the lapped car may give him an edge to get onto the podium place. As we see, their pit window has now opened for 16 minutes. People taking a few different approaches to the pit stop strategies. As we see Greg Young now on the back of John Billingsley. On the back of his car now, managed to get the gap down to within a second. Just trying to get into the slipstream of John's car. We also have the gap between Matt Daly and James Rose, managing to get past Rob Whitney very cleanly. But the gap is very close between them now. Andrew Whitehead in 7th at the moment, trying to catch up to The car's battling for 5th as Greg Young now is in the slipstream of John's car. Now for the long chase down to the first corner. Overstart, finish straight. Mr. Young will have the inside line and gets the car stopped under braking to take 5th place from John Billingsley. Can he maintain it as John looks like to try and come back at him? Not able to do it quite yet. Battling pair almost in the clutches of Andrew Whitehead. He'll be looking to take advantage of the two in front. John just trying to look for the open door. Not able to do it, but oh no, but Greg is oh dear, Greg Young has a bit of a half spin there, nearly made contact with the wall, which has allowed John to and Andrew to get past, unfortunately, so that's cost him 2 places for that mistake. It didn't look like the car was helped around by the front of John's car. It looked like it was a clean maneuver. There wasn't any contact made. Potentially one for the steward to look at, but as we see, Andrew Whitehead has now been able to catch up to the back of John's car quite considerably. We'll be looking to make a maneuver, I'm sure, very soon as we look at lap 9. Colin Caniff disappearing up the road now to get 5.5 seconds over Alex Smith. Matt Daly in 3rd, maintaining the gap to James Rose. As we look at the gap now to John Billingsley, who isn't too far down the road, but I think Rob Whitney's car being in the middle does confuse things ever so slightly. As Andrew Whitehead now, we're looking to get a good drive up the road. John is going defensive already, but Andrew is in the slipstream. Tries to get around the outside, but John cuts him off. So Andrew now having lost some time, but as we see them come up through the Minarelli corner, it looks like quite a decisive place for overtakes. Andrew takes a bit of a spin and the car goes round and has made contact with the 2 cars behind him. So an unfortunate incident from Andrew Whitehead has also had an effect on Greg Young, and what was the other one? Tim Perry, I believe, by the looks of it. But a great opportunity for Andrew Cracker, who's managing, obviously one of the others that made contact. Regardless, Andrew Cracker has managed to get up the road as there's a slightly tricky rejoin there from Steve Knight, as we see him enter a pit. So I think the first of the cars to take the pit road. Right, as we see, so what has that done to the results now, as everyone's changed a little bit now? So we have a gap for Alan Matthews has taken a slightly wide line, allowing Greg Young to take advantage of the slow car in front of him. Beg your pardon, that's Paul Plant and Greg Young, battle for 9th. Obviously, Greg Young's car now with contact damage from Andrew Whitehead's spinning car, I believe. Paul Plant looking to get a manoeuvre done, but the gap's has fallen away from the car in front of him a little bit. Again, the driver's finding the Minarelli corner, catching them out slightly. causing some tricky conditions as Paul Plant taking a very heavy line over the curbs there. Still within slipstream distance of Greg Young's car. As we have several cars now taking to pit road, we have Alan Matthews now taking his pit stop. Matt Daly has in the pits as well from third position. Andrew Whitehead there inheriting eighth, still yet to pit. As we see Alan Matthews in the pit, Matt Daly, Alex Smith also in the pits from second place. Colin Caniff yet to make his mandatory pit stop with 8 minutes to go until the pit window closes. John Billingsley now inheriting third place. Andrew Cracker in fourth with Tim Perry behind him. The battle for sixth between Greg Young and Paul Plant still. Andrew Whitehead in 8th position. Alex Smith currently in 9th from exiting the pit road. Matt Daly in 10th. So Alex has actually managed to get... no, that was the way round they were before the pit stop. So Alex was originally in 2nd and Matt Daly was in 3rd. Guys Warbrick in 11th place. Alan Matthews in 12th. Stephen Williams now taking his pit. Stephen Knight in 14th and Rob Whitney also coming in for the mandatory stop in 15th. We also have someone else in the pits as all of the remainder of the grid take to pit road all at the same time roughly. So Colin Caniff is now taking his mandatory pit stop. So we'll see how the gap is between him and second place. So Andrew Whitehead is also taking a pit stop as well. And it looks like Matt Daly, as the order shuffles around a fair bit now. There we are. So Alex Smith back up into 2nd, Matt Daly back up into 3rd, and James Rose exiting pit road now in 4th. So they've all come back out roughly where they were before. The gap has reduced slightly between Colin Caniff and Alex Smith, but still around about 5 seconds. Andrew Whitehead's just exiting the pit lane, now down into 12th place. So as it looks like we have a battle for 7th place between Guy Swarbrick, who unfortunately makes contact with the car in front of him, and has also made contact with Paul Plant, who managed to get away lightly. But there's a... looks like a fair amount of cars now queuing up behind Guy Swarbrick, and there's contact between Andrew Cracker and I'm not sure who the other car was. Oh, that might have Rob Whitney, unfortunately, trying to get out of the way of the cars lapping him, but making slight contact, unfortunately. As we see Guy Swarbrick now making his mandatory pit stop. So I think just for the moment we'll see pit windows open. I believe we should see the orange one disappear. And that will mean he is safe. Because we can't check, unfortunately, what they're actually going into the pits for. But there seems potentially a slight issue because a lot of the cars have taken a pit stop, but have not necessarily registered as having completed a mandatory stop within the time frame allowed. So Guy Swarbrick has actually made his stop, has turned green and is safe. But we still have, with 3 minutes left of the mandatory pit window, it appears that Alex Smith hasn't completed a pit stop. So let's just have a look. So this could potentially upset the standings if this is more than just potentially a glitch on my system, that second, fourth place, 6th to 9th, 11th and all the rest of it still have a pit window to take, or a pit stop to take within that pit window. So we'll wait and see how that plays out. But at the moment, as we're nearing the halfway point, with 14 laps of the race done and dusted, Colin Caniff is in first place. Alex Smith currently in second, now 7.5 seconds down the road, but not that far behind is Matt Daly, who now looks to be closing the gap to Alex in front of him. James Rose in fourth place as a spectator now, as the two potentially battle ahead. John Billingsley in fifth, Alan Matthews in sixth, Tim Perry in seventh. Trying to get the move done on Alan, who looks like took a very heavy line over the curbs again. Coming down to the Rivada set of corners, I believe, to complete another lap. Paul Plant in 8th, Andrew Cracker in 9th, falling back after initially sort of leapfrogging a few places after a spinning car in front of him. Greg Young in 10th, Andrew Whitehead in 11th, Guy Swarbrick in 12th, Stephen Williams in 13th, Stephen Knight in 14th, and Rob Whitney in 15th. With about 45 seconds left of the pit window. The gap still increasing, but there has been a change. It looks like perhaps Alex Smith may have made a mistake, because there was a very, very big gap to close so suddenly between the two. And Alex has managed to get away quite quickly. Sorry, Matt Daly has managed to get away quite quickly. Alex taking a very bad line over the chicane there and has allowed James Rose to catch up behind him, who will be hoping to get a manoeuvre done under braking up into the podium place there. Alex now doing everything he can to get away. So it looks like everyone is safe, but still has to take a mandatory fuel stop at one point as Alex Smith runs over heavy on the curves. There's contact between the two. James Rose takes out the back of clips the back of Alex's car as Alex, I think, tried to regain control of of the car there, trying to do several things at once, and the car just wasn't behaving. And it looks like he may have incurred a penalty for that maneuver as he flashed up red for the moment. But James Rose, despite the contact, managed to get away with the instant there and has carried on the race into third place. Now a fair way down from Matt Daly, but we're hoping to try and catch up. So though, after just as we come across the half race distance, Colin Kniff in first place, nearly 12 seconds down the road now. Matt Daly in third, Matt Daly in second, beg your pardon. James Rose in third, Alex Smith in fourth now, who I'm sure will be kicking himself a little bit there. John Billingsley now in fifth, as we now look at Alan Matthews and Tim Perry battling it out, as we have nearly a six-car train for sixth place. So we see Alex Smith unfortunately have to come into the pits there for what I would assume to be repairs. As we see Tim Perry making a run down the straight on Alan Matthews, leaving plenty of room. He'll be down the inside for the braking, hoping to get the car slowed down as Alan Matthews just tucks in behind. Is able to get a better exit and is trying to get on the outside again. There's slight contact between the two. Paul Plant runs wide and will be in the clutches of Greg Young, who manages to get around him. See the six-car train. It looks like Andrew Cracker taking a slightly shallow line there, but managing to stay pointing in the right direction. Very close racing from all six of them there. Andrew Whitehead on the back of that group there, trying to capitalise on any mistakes made by the others up into place, as we see Greg Young get past Andrew Cracker in the mid-pack. But Andrew not happy with that, will try and take the position back as they come into the Minarelli corner. Let's see if everyone gets through cleanly, and they can without making any errors. Paul Plant on the back of Andrew Cracker's car, trying to find any open door, but he's having to defend himself from Andrew Whitehead, who's up alongside now, who will have the commanding position for the Riviera corners, trying to get down under braking, and it looks like Matthews has gone wide and lost many places there as the rest try and get round him. But manages to rejoin in the mid of the six-car train there. All very closely packed now. Paul Plant unfortunately losing out. The group now is at the back of the train. Everyone getting through the first couple of corners. Andrew looks like running a very wide line on the grass there, trying to get past Greg Young. Under braking, car skipping over the curves there, braking down, braking in as they try and get the car slowed into the Tozer corner, up the hill now to turn 9. And that was a slight dive there from Greg Young on Tim Perry, but not able to get the move done. Currently, he'll be looking for any open door opportunity he can to try and get the move done, as Andrew Whitehead closes in on the back of Matthew's car. The front runners appear unchanged, as Colin Kniff is now 14 seconds ahead of Matt Daly in second place. Alex Smith now, unfortunately, after having to take some repairs, is now down in 11th position. So great shame that he's ended up so far down, but as they all spread out in the final corner, looks like there's a few change of positions. Tim Perry is losing out there slightly too, both Andrew and Young there. Down into the braking zone for the first chicane. Everyone getting through cleanly. Still jostling for positions. There's a slight lag issue there for Andrew, but he remains in 6th place there. Down into turn 7. Everyone tiptoeing around as they climb the hill. No one making any advantage yet. Andrew Cracker looking to try and make a move under braking, but not close enough to get it done. Into turn 11, accelerating back up the hill now. Again, everyone getting through cleanly. Very close at the back of that train as Andrew Whitehead tries to get past Matthews, looking for a way around. All the cars jumping over the curbs. Paul Plant sticking to the back of Andrew Whitehead's car. Andrew trying to look down the inside under braking, manages to get the car placed very well on the inside, but a bad exit means that he's not able to complete maneuver. And Paul Plant will be on the back of Whitehead's car, looking for a way past, but again not able to do it as they head down the start-finish straight. Andrew now up the inside of Alan's car. Again, contact is made between the two. And now at the end of the chicane, he's able to get the move done. And Paul Plant following Andrew Whitehead and pushing Alan Matthews to the outside of the corner. But he will be looking to come back at the 2 and get the maneuver done. Reclaim any positions he can. So very close between the 3, 4, 8th place there. Paul Plant taking slightly shallower line through the Minarelli corners. It's very close to the back of the car. Very close to the back of Andrew Whitehead's car. Not able to get the maneuver done yet. But a very good move from Alan Matthews as he's able to get the car slowed down under braking. But Paul Plant looking to come back on the inside the corner. The car runs wide, but luckily not striking Alan's car. As Paul Plant is now trying to follow in the slipstream. Well, he managed to get the maneuver done under braking into the first chicane. Not quite. Tries to get through his cleaning and get a better run out of the corner, which he manages to do, and is on the back bumper of Alan's car. Through the Tamburello chicane, down into the braking zone for the hairpin. Paul Plant just falling back a little bit there. But a very good run out the corner. On the back bumper of Matthews there. Not able to get it done to the braking. Trying to look for an open door. Matthews runs wide. But again, not wide enough. Paul Plant piling the pressure on. As Matthews is able to get through turns 12 very cleanly. Paul Plant making a bit of an error there, unfortunately cutting across the grass, and will lose time to Matthews. So he'll have it all to do again. Whitehead now trying to get round Tim Perry, looking again for any opportunity he can. Andrew in the slipstream of Tim's cars. They head over to start finish straight. Nearly 20 minutes remaining in the race. Colin Carnif has not put a foot wrong in the race and has led from pole position. Is currently nearly 20 seconds up the road from second place with the last third of the race remaining. From Matt Daly in second. James Rose in third place, now coming up to the back of Guy Swarbrick's car, I believe. Trying to get round the lapped car. Guy taking a... it looks like he lost it under braking slightly, not able to get round the corner cleanly. So James will be looking to get round Guy quite quickly, but not able to do it yet. And there's been a massive change. Greg Young, unfortunately, has looked like spun the car, had an issue, and has dropped down the order. Has dropped several places now and struggling to get the car turned round. And Alex Smith, unfortunately, having his race getting even worse now. After initially having a very good race, is now back in 11th. As we look at Tim Perry Andrew Whitehead get past Tim Perry for what they've inherited now, 4th place, after the leaders coming into the pit. So we currently have Andrew Krecker, Alan Matthews, Stephen Williams and Stephen Knight in the pit lane. The two cars still battling now as they climb the hill to turns 9. 3-car battle continuing. Tim Perry, Andrew Whitehead and Greg Young. And Paul Plant trying to get in on the action as well. Andrew having to defend from Greg. Can he keep it in the straight line? Has a slight moment, but Greg currently occupied with Paul Plant trying to get a maneuver done on him. So again, as they all bounce around the curves there, Paul Plant lost a little bit of time there, it looks like, to Greg Young. As you can see, cutting the corner slightly on the Riviera, as they all in unison come into the pit lane. So this will be very interesting to see if who manages to get around. It doesn't look, unless I've missed it, it doesn't look like Colin has yet to take his pit stop as he currently gets around lapped traffic. Everyone's still in the pits at the moment. As Matt Daly, I think, has taken his pit stop. James Rose in 3rd place now. Alex Smith inheriting 4th place from everyone else who has made their pit, but he will have to make his pit as well. So it looks like, who do we have coming out the pit first? So it looks like they're all roughly in the same order, I believe. But we have John, who's managed to leapfrog Paul Plant. So we have Paul Plant in No, just beg your pardon. John's in 6th. Paul Plant in 11th. Alan Matthews managing to get a good run down the start-finish straight as Paul came out of the pit lane and is now in the middle of that battle again. With Greg Young, Andrew Whitehead, Tim Perry, all battling for 7th place. As we see Colin getting around the first chicane for the 25th lap. Matt Daly still in 2nd place. James Rose in 3rd. Alex Smith now currently up into 4th. So unless his pit strategy, or unless his pit earlier for repairs has helped him get the car around the circuit further, Stephen Williams unfortunately looks like he'll be a DNF at this point. So Alex Smith currently in 4th. If he doesn't have to make a pit stop, will take 4th place, but let's see if he can manage to get around. Andrew Crackett in 5th. John Billingsley in 6th. Tim Perry in 7th, but makes contact with Andrew Whitehead and they both spin around. Andrew now in the gravel trap, unfortunately. So a slightly poor overtake from Tim there has taken them both out of the pack for battling for 7th place. As Paul Plant now tries to get a manoeuvre done on the outside on Alan Matthews. Alan unfortunately going wide and just managing to get it slowed down enough for the Minarelli corner. Paul Plant taking advantage, getting the car where it needs to be and around the corner and up the road. Saying thank you very much for that place there. But unfortunately makes a half spin, loses time, and that gives the position back to Alan Matthews. So there's no driver letting up, but unfortunately over 3/4 of the race completed and the mistakes are creeping in for some of them. As we see James Rose actually managing to close down on Matt Daly somewhat. So hopefully Matt can, for his sake, maintain the gap. But it'll be interesting to see if James is able to get on the back of Matt Daly. Alex Smith still in 4th, not having made a splash and dash for fuel yet. But has a fair gap to Andrew Cracker behind him. So he has taken, he is safe and has had a mandatory pit stop. So potentially a small amount of fuel could get him to the end of the race, if not what he has already. As we see Andrew Crackett in 5th, John Billingsley in 6th, Greg Young in 7th, who has managed to open up a fair gap over Alan Matthews in 8th. Paul Plant now dropping back. And Andrew Whitehead now on the nearly getting on the back of Paul Plant's car, and that will help Andrew's case as Paul Plant runs very wide. And again, Paul Plant taking that slightly, cutting the line there on the turn 18, but takes a massive spin as he down the exit of turn 19. Car pointing the wrong way down the pit straight, and a very dodgy rejoin there. Maybe he should have waited for the car to pass, for who's that, Tim Perry to pass before rejoining from the pit lane, but looked like Tim Perry almost had the same issue there on the exit of turn 19, and Paul Plant, unfortunately, the mistakes crept in and built up to quite a big error there on turn 19, and it's cost him dearly back in 11th place. Tim Perry getting away with, or very fortunately not making contact with Paul there, up into 10th. Andrew Whitehead looks like potentially may have made an error as well, as he was on, I think he was on the back of Alan's car, but has dropped back slightly. With just over 10 minutes to go, we see Colin Caniff just come out of the Tosa hairpin up the hill. Nearly 30 seconds up the road of Matt Daly. Very, very big gap has opened up between the two of them now. James Rose managing to get that gap down. Doing a very good job at closing in on the bumper of Matt's yellow car there. Chasing him down with 10 minutes to go. Hoping to claim the final podium position. Very heavy under braking in the Minarelli corner. Massive jump over the curves there. That turns 14 and 15. Braking as late as he dare, trying to close the gap down even further. Alex Smith in 4th position, not too far down the road, so one major incident between the two could see Alex improve his position. Andrew Cracker back up into 5th after battling with 6 cars at a time, but managing to get away cleanly up the road. John Billingsley in 6th, but getting chased down by Greg Young, who will be piling on the pressure, as we do see Alex go down pit road for a splash and dash of fuel. So unfortunately was not able to keep the car going until the end of the race, and will now drop down the order. It looks like we'll just lose out to Paul Plant, and may have it all to do to get back up the order, as he's not going to get any slipstream from Paul Plant's car as of yet. So Alan Matthews now under pressure from Andrew Whitehead for 7th place, as we also see the battle develop between Greg Young and John Billingsley. They both come down the right hand braking zone into Minarelli complex. Greg Young looking to get the maneuver done, is very close on the back of John's car. The car squirming under brakes. Andrew Whitehead now going for the position, gets a better run on Alan. Side by side as they come down to the Rivazza corner. There's a car going over the gravel, so we're not sure what's happened there. Andrew in the commanding position on the track, gets the car slowed down under braking and moves up into 7th place. Looks like a back marker there that was just getting out the way of the chasing pack, as Greg Young on the back of John's car. Not able to get the maneuver done under the braking zone, as we see Alan try and come back at Andrew Whitehead. But the gap maintains the two at the back there. Greg Young following John through the chicane. In the braking zone, up the hill. Let's see if they can get up and round. It looks like Tim Perry has had a spin. Whether that was contact from Paul Plant or not, I'm not too sure. Alex Smith now up into 10th place. But they were very close to time, I think, when the incident happened. So whether that was on his own or whether he was helped around. Fortunately, we missed that. Nearly 5 minutes left to go on the clock. Colin Caniff, Matt Daly in second, James Rosen fourth. The gap maintaining between the two. Andrew Cracker in fifth, but John Billingsley in sixth. And it looks like, I'm not sure what happened there, but John managing to disappear up the road from Andrew Whitehead, from Andrew being on the back. Oh no, Andrew was battling with Alan, who managed to get past, and it looks like John is getting the run into the first corner. Can he get the car? They're both slow under braking. Turn in side by side the corner, but looks like Greg as you run wide, and John gets the car past him very cleanly. As we see the back marker move out the way for Andrew. John has now up into 5th place. Greg Young trying to hold on to the back of that car. Get as far up the order as he can. Let's see if he can get a maneuver done to get the position back. The gap's starting to open up slightly now. As Andrew Whitehead disappears up the road from Alan Matthews. So we see Greg Young on the back of John's car trying to get the position back off of him. Let's see if he can. He's very close to him now. Can he get it done under braking for turn 18? No, brakes a lot earlier than John. And the gap opens up slightly. John getting the turn in. But Greg getting a very good run. Will have the slipstream past the start-finish straight, but drops back, unfortunately. I think possibly didn't have such a good exit. And will not be able to make a maneuver yet, but seems to be a lot stronger in the latter part of the circuit to get as close as he can to make a maneuver. So we hear the cars and the cars chattering away there as they go through the gears and accelerate around the course. Up the hill from the hairpin. Greg Young still on the back of John's car. Just holding that position, piling on the pressure. Trying to get John to make a mistake. Sniffing around the outside of the corner. They both get a clean line through turns 12, but Greg gets a better run and is on the back of John's car again. As I said, seems to get a better run out of those sets of corners. Once again, down to the Riviera set of left-handers. But John able to get the car slowed a lot later than Greg, but Greg looking like he gets a better line and a better exit. is in the slipstream now, weaving over the back of John's car. Tries to get it done under, and there's contact between the two as Greg can't get the car slowed quick enough. And unfortunately makes a bit of a jive, but changed his mind too late and hit the back of John Billingsley's car and sent him round. Again, I think the stewards will have an opinion on that one. Andrew Whitehead gladly taking the position off the both of them, and now up into 5th. So it looks like Greg tried to get a maneuver done on the inside of the corner, wasn't able to get far enough up the side of the car to get John to move out the way. And at the point he tried to change his mind and fall back in line, he just wasn't getting the car slowed down enough, and made contact with the back of John's car, which would have lifted the back wheels, and as he saw, making him lose grip and spin the car. So John Billingsley now back into 8th after that contact, and now trying to maintain the gap from him to Paul Plant, as the leader is on the final lap of the race. Colin Caniff, nearly 40 seconds ahead of his nearest competitor, drove away a fantastic start from pole position and has just disappeared up the road. 2 very well placed pit stops as he takes the final corner down the start-finish straight to take the win. Well done. First place to Colin Caniff. Having said that, nearly a 40-second wait now for Matt Daly to cross the line in 2nd place. A very, very good performance. 2nd on the row. 2nd on the 1st row, sorry. 2nd place on the grid at start of the race. Was challenged in the middle of the race for his position, but has managed to maintain it. James Rose not able to close the gap enough. Matt Daly takes 2nd place. James Rose coming home in 3rd. Very well done to the both of them. And now we see Andrew Cracker take the final corner as well to come home in 4th position. Andrew Whitehead managing to get up into 5th ahead of Greg Young now. Greg Young making a final dive for the line, but not able to do it, and has to settle for 6th. Alan Matthews in 7th behind him. John Billingsley again managing to keep Paul Plant behind him as he makes a final dive. So John Billingsley in 8th, Paul Plant in 9th. Alex Smith unfortunately in 10th after taking 3rd on the grid initially, challenging for 2nd place. Guy Swarbrick taking 11th there, Tim Perry in 12th, Rob Whitney in 11th, Stephen Knight in 14th, and Stephen Williams in 15th there. But very well done to Colin Caniff for a fantastically clean race. And managing to take 1st place there. So a very well done to Colin. Let me just sort that out. That one, there we are. So very well done to Colin. for a fantastic performance and taking first place. And again from Matt Daly in second, James Rose in third, rounds out the podium positions there. As we just save the replays. There we are. Fantastic. So yes, it didn't disappoint at all. After some slight delays, again, some slight server issues, which I'm sure they'll be working hard to resolve for next week. We managed to get going. It was a very clean first lap. There was a couple of incidents further back, but everyone managing to continue. I think apart from actually, can't remember who. Rob Whitney, I think, was actually had to take a pit stop, but it'd be interesting to rewatch that and see what happened with his race, unfortunately. Ending up 2 laps down very quickly in the first start of the race. And then Colin Knief just disappearing up the road was very barely challenged for any of it. Alex Smith, unfortunately, ending up in 11th after an incident which saw him go from 2nd place down to 11th. But yes, as I said, fireworks in the sky and bonfire night, and certainly fireworks on the track between the competitors. And yeah, very exciting racing, fantastic track to watch, great cars to listen to as they go around as well. And we made it to the end of the race, which was good, which is a plus. So yes, there will be another stream next Thursday as well. I hope you join me for that. And I hope you all have a good evening, and I shall see you all soon, hopefully.